Hare Krishna, welcome to all devotees. Now we start today's Bhagavatam class with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tata Jayam Udiret नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी. Hare Krishna. Now we try to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3. Krishna is the source of all incarnation. Shloka number 35 and 36. Please, doing mute, you read in your mind after me. एवं जन्मानि कर्माणि हि अकर्तु अजनस्य च वर्णयन्ति स्म कवयः वेदगुह्यानि हृत्पतेः स वा इदं विश्वम् अमोघलीलः सृजति अवति अत्ति न सज्जते अस्मिन् भूतेषु च अंतर्हित आत्मतंत्रः षाड्वर्गिकं जिघ्रति षड्गुणेशः एवं जन्मानि कर्माणि हि अकर्तुः अजनस्य च वर्णयन्ति स्म कवयः वेदगुह्यानि हृत्पतेः स वा इदं विश्वम् अमोघलीलः सृजति अवति अत्ति न सज्जते अस्मिन् भूतेषु च अंतर्हित आत्मतंत्रः षाड्वर्गिकं जिघ्रति षड्गुणेशः Sridhar Prabhuji, you can read. एवं जन्मानि कर्माणि read complete एवं जल कर्माणि हि अकर्तुः अजनस्य च वर्णयन्ति स्म कवयः वेदगुह्यानि हृत्पतेः स वा इदं विश्वम् अमोघलीलः सृजति यवति अत्ति न सज्जते अस्मिन् भूतेषु च आत्मतंत्रः षाड्वर्गिकं जिघ्रति षड्गुणेश. Please, Ashish Prabhuji, read. Sridhar Prabhuji is early. He can read.
एवं जन्मानि कर्माणि हि अकर्तुः अजनस्य च वर्णयन्ति स्म कवयो वेद गुह्यन्ति हृत्पतेः स वा इदं विश्वम् अमोघलीलाः सृजति अवति अति न सज्जते अस्मिन् भूतेषु चन्तर्हिता आत्मतंत्रः षाड्वर्गिकं जिघ्रति षड्गुणेशः.
Very good. Sridhar Prabhuji.
हरे कृष्ण. एवं जन्मानि कर्माणि हि अकर्तुः अजनस्य च वर्णयन्ति समगवयो वेदगुह्यानि हृदपदेः स वा इदं विश्वम् अमोघलीलः सृजति अवन्ति अत्तिच्छ सञ्चयेऽस्मिन् भूतेषु चान्तर्हित आत्मतन्त्रः षड्वर्गीयं जिग्रति गुणेशः. हरे कृष्ण.
Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus, learned men describe the birth and activities of the unborn and inactive, which is undiscoverable even in the Vedic literature. He is the Lord of the heart. The Lord, whose activities are always spotless, is the master of the six senses and is fully omnipotent with six opulences. He creates the manifested universes, maintains them, and annihilates them without being in the least affected. He is within every living being and is always independent. Translation by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Both the Lord and the living entities are essentially all spiritual. Therefore, both of them are eternal and neither of them has birth and death. The difference is that the so-called births and disappearances of the Lord are unlike those of the living beings. The living beings who take birth and then again accept death are bound by the laws of material nature. But the so-called appearance and disappearance of the Lord are not action of material nature, but are demonstrations of the internal potency of the Lord. They are described by the great sages for the purpose of self-realization. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita by the Lord that his so-called birth in the material world and his activities are all transcendental. And simply by meditation on such activities, one can attain realization of Brahman and thus become liberated from material bondage. The truth is, it is said that the birthless appears to take birth. The Supreme has nothing to do, but because he is omnipotent, everything is performed by him naturally, as if done automatically. As a matter of fact, the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his different activities are all confidential, even to the Vedic literature, yet they are displayed by the Lord to bestow mercy upon the conditioned souls. We should always take advantage of the narrations of the activities of the Lord, which are meditations on the Brahman in the most convenient and palatable form. The prime difference between the Lord and the living entities is that the Lord is the creator and the living entities are the created. Here, he is called the Amog Lila, which indicates that there is nothing lamentable in his creation. Those who create disturbance in his creation are themselves disturbed. He is transcendental to all material afflictions because he is full with all six opulences, namely wealth, power, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. And thus he is the master of the senses universes in order to reclaim the living beings who are within them, suffering threefold, maintains them, and in due course annihilates them without being the least affected by such action. He is connected with this material creation very superficially, as one smells odor without being connected with the odorous article. No non-godly element, therefore, can never approach him despite all endeavors. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurnitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manabhishtam Sthapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guroho Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavancha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam सजीवम साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजन सहितम कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांच नमो ओम विष्णु पादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वंशा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. In this chapter third, Krishna is the source of all incarnation, canto first, shloka number 35 and 36. We are trying to understand in these shlokas describe about the learned person, describe about the birth and activities of the supreme personality of Godhead and how they manifest this srishti and how they doing as a matter of fact appearance and disappearance of supreme personality of Godhead in different activities which are confidential they describe here, and again they describe about the prime difference between Lord and living entity. What is that main difference? Prabhuji will tell us in detail. Hare Krishna. Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you very much,
Krishna.
Mataji. So, Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam. This is what we had seen yesterday when we were discussing about the shlokas. So, Krishna, when he appeared on this on this earth, it was because of invitation which Prithvi Mata had extended to Krishna. And she had said that I am being burdened. So, you please remove my burden. Similarly, Krishna also appears in our hearts when we invite him. So what is important is inviting Krishna in our hearts. So that is what is important. And that is Janmashtami. We are going to be celebrating Janmashtami and we have started the drive for donation collections, gifts collection for Krishna. But the real Janmashtami is to invite Krishna into our hearts with our love and to open our hearts to receive his love. See, Krishna is unborn. Still, it appears that he takes birth. And that is exactly why it is Divyam. Janma karma cha me Divyam, which is being described in these verses which we are studying today, where it is clearly saying that we have to understand Krishna appropriately. So, what is it that is different? So, when this question was raised, Prabhupada ji gives a very good, what I will say, analogy. He says that Krishna's appearance and disappearance, it is comparable to the sunrise and sunset respectively. Now, sunrise is not sun's birth. Similarly, Krishna's appearance in this world is not exactly his birth, but just the beginning of his pastimes. Just like sunrise is beginning of the day. Sunset is also not the death of the sun. Similarly, Krishna's disappearance from this planet is not his death. Instead, it is the conclusion of his pastimes here. When the sun sets at one place, it rises in the other hemisphere. Similarly, when Krishna disappears from one universe, he appears in a different universe to perform his pastimes. When the sun sets, he rises again the next day. Similarly, Krishna concludes his pastime during one day of Brahma and reappears in the next day to resume his pastimes. That is the best way to explain about the birth and the various activities, plays which Krishna has for all of us. The way he celebrates everything here. And that is why it is mentioned that the Jnani, the word used here is the learned men, is what is the word used here. Veda Guhyani. So something which cannot be discovered by the Vedas is explained by Kavayaha, the learned. And what is not discoverable by Vedas? Ratapatehe, the Lord of the heart. So only learned men can describe the activities of this unborn Sri Krishna. And it is also mentioned again here. He is the Lord of the heart. Now, Krishna is not only the Lord of the heart, he is Ishvara. Everything is under his control. Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. Everything belongs to him. So why does he appear? Specifically descends whenever there is a decline in dharma, an increase in adharma, so that he can reverse the situation. So his forms, appearances, activities, everything is divine. And one who understands this divine nature is liberated because Krishna himself promises it. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvata tyaktva deham punarjanma naeti mameti. So Arjuna. Krishna says in 4.9 that one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. And Krishna himself gives 3 reasons for his appearances in Bhagavad Gita. That comes in 4.8. So 4.9 is understanding the birth and activities. 4.8 is the reasons for his appearances. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So Krishna appears for these 3 reasons. So similarly, we can have Krishna appear in our hearts and live in there. When we are willing to undergo whatever are the austerities, difficulties necessary for our purification and are eager to lovingly serve him. See, it's not so easy to become parents of Krishna. Devaki Maiya, Vasudev, they did penances for lots of years, thousands of years. And thereafter they got this benediction that Krishna himself will become their child. But when he was born, he did not take birth as a normal child. He came in his Narayan avatar. And seeing this, both Maiya and Baba, they were surprised. And they prayed that please be a normal child to us. And it is then he left that Narayan avatar and became like a Govinda, Dvibhujdhari Govinda. So that is mercy of Krishna. So just like he appeared on prayers of Vasudev and Devaki, similarly it is said that Krishna can appear in our heart. They did tapascharya for thousands of years. So if you want Krishna to appear in our hearts, we also need to undergo the difficulties and austerities necessary for our purification and develop the eagerness to lovingly serve Krishna. Now, Krishna appeared in the prison cell of Kamsa and illuminated the entire prison cell with his divine spiritual effulgence. Our heart is also like a prison cell. And if we invite Krishna into our hearts by sincerely performing bhakti, Krishna surely, eagerly enters our hearts and illuminates our hearts with divine spiritual blessings, knowledge, inspiration, guidance, and enabling us to come closer to his lotus feet. And that is why it is important that we should pray for the appearance of Krishna in our hearts, especially this coming Janmashtami, because we will not get such opportunities again and again. All activities of Krishna are always confidential, even to Vedic literatures. But then they are displayed by Krishna so that he can show his mercy upon conditioned, bonded souls like us. So we should be taking advantage of the narrations of activities of Lord, because they are like meditations on Brahman in convenient, palatable form. So you should not allow it to be wasted. Krishna's activities are amala, spotless. He is the master of 6 senses. He is Rishikesha. He is fully omnipotent with 6 opulences, the 6 bhagats that we talk about. And he creates the manifested universes, maintains them, annihilates them without being in the least affected. He is within every living being and he is always independent. Now, if today one of us were to lose, say, 100 rupee currency, all of a sudden, just look what would be our situation like. You would be worried. You cannot understand what is going on. So, will be trouble. But suppose you had multi-billion wallet with you, and multi-billion I'm talking about. And from that 100 rupee currency note would have vanished. 99.99 plus 0.001% chance is that we'll never even know that it has gone off. We'll simply accept it. And that is exactly what happens. That Krishna is always available. He is the one who has created everything. He is the creator. So he is least affected by his creation. Because he is spiritual and the creation which he has made is material. Nowadays, so many scientists are creating robots or humanoids also nowadays. So these robots, they function just like humans. A time is predicted wherein there will be so many humanoids doing all the activities. But the human which has created it, would it be affected if anything happens to them? Or whatever is happening to them? No. Because it is his creation. It is in a different realm. It is in a technological realm. And not the realm in which we are. We as ideally spirit soul or even in the material bodily format of human beings. They are not equal. They are just our creation. So if anything happens to them, we are least bothered. We will least be affected by what they do. Similarly, we are the creations of Krishna. And we are in a different realm. We are on the material platform. But Krishna is eternal. He is called Amogha Leela. There is nothing lamentable in his creation. Amogha Leela means there is nothing lamentable in the creation at all. So if you had seen word to word meaning, that is where it comes. Idam Vishwam, this manifested universe, Amogha Leela, activities are spotless. Srijati creates, Avatiyati maintains and annihilates. And then Na Sajjate, not affected by. So that is Krishna. We may be attached. Satvargam. Krishna is endowed with full potencies. He is the master of the senses, Rishikesha. So the word here for Rishikesh which is used here is Satguna Isha. So we understand all these aspects and we actually implement them in our life. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that appearances and disappearances are something like the change of the season. So we need to understand this aspect, the temporary aspect. So as long as we are going to be either on the material platform or even at the subtle body level, gross or subtle body level, we are still going to be always unhappy. It's always going to be dukkha. But then what is important is we should become titikshas. We should be tolerant without being disturbed. Matra sparshas to kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkada agama payino anitya tas titikshasva bharata. And this is what we understand in the second shloka today that we read. How Krishna is impervious to everything that is happening. He is the one who has created. He is the one who is maintaining. He is the one with all the six opulences. Wealth, power, fame, beauty, knowledge, renunciation, whatever we talk. He is the one who is full with all of this. And that is why when we discuss about bhakti, what do we get in the definition? Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam iti bhakti uchyate. That we should be using all our senses to serve this master of senses, who is Rishikesha. This material universe is actually created so that we can be reclaimed by Krishna. And that is why we have to reciprocate. If you take one step towards Krishna, Krishna takes multiple steps towards us. And that is what we have to understand and implement. Hare Krishna. Kindly repeat after me. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya